Strait of Hormuz. What is it? Why is it choking off global supply? And will the chokehold ever stop? Look, I'm not smart enough to be inside President Trump's cabinet. I'm not smart enough to talk to Energy Secretary Wright 24 hours a day. I'm definitely not in the know when it comes to global transition, distribution, and logistics for crude oil around the world. What I am is a guy who's been in the oil and gas business since 1985, and I like to look at the simple aspects of any situation and try to make an assessment what really is going on. Let me put it to you this way. I don't think we're 30, 60, 90 days away from relief on crude oil supply around the globe. I think this is a protracted 12 to 24 month or longer disruption of global supply for multiple reasons. Look, I'm just one guy with an opinion. You have your own, and really you don't have to give me a rebuttal and tell me why your answer is right and mine is wrong. I'm operating and running my business and my investments based on the conclusions that I've come to. And those conclusions are as follows. We have a military operation that successfully took the fangs out of a very bad group of terrorists over in Iran. That group is fractured. It is split. There is no head of the snake anymore. They basically have obliterated the top regime of all the decision makers within the Iranian IRGC, within all the different factions that are inside of Iran. But what it really comes down to is if you don't have somebody who can negotiate to try to come to a resolution of a peaceful solution, what you have is mass chaos. And that chaos is further exasperated by the fact that there's multiple indirectives. Who's in charge? Who wants to be in charge? Who controls the economy? Who controls the military? Who controls the oil? So in the current status that we're at today, we have one major problem. Whoever President Trump is actually talking to about a peaceful resolution is not actually backed by all the other factions within Iran. Each one is simply saying a message. Every time the president decides he's got an agreement, somebody else out there in the Iranian marketplace or the Iranian territory, the Middle East, is saying, well, wait a minute. You think you're in charge? Let me shoot a couple of drone missiles over toward UAE. Let me threaten to cut off a couple of cables underwater. Let me shoot a missile over at one of these oil containers that has Iranian oil in it. Let me shoot a missile or a small rocket using a fast boat toward a Chinese vessel. What's the message that they're sending? This is just street fights. This is just like gang warfare. And what they're saying is, that person you're talking to doesn't speak on behalf of us. That person you're talking to doesn't have the authority to make the decisions or deliver what you want. What's really taking place is the country has to decide within its own territory, with its own remaining potential leaders, they have to decide who's going to be the leader of that gang. That has not been decided yet, and it won't be for quite some time. Because at this point in time, the U.S. and the entire global market looking for crude oil supply has come to one realization. We've got, generally speaking, 60 days from the point of production at a wellhead until a point of complete disruption in global supply, absent storage or one-time fixed solutions. So if 60 days is all we have, the enemy, those who want to disrupt a normal free market economy, have decided all we have to do is hold out and disrupt the economy and the free flow of energy for 60 days, and we can cause giants to come to their knees. Now, why would I say going forward it's not going to be something that can be resolved? Well, right now, every single country is determining who's weak, how weak they are, how exposed they are to energy. And it's coming up like a boil. It's coming up like a festering sore, and everybody's showing their cards because they have no other choice. Short of diesel, short of fertilizer, short of jet fuel, short of just basic domestic needs for energy. And that is becoming kind of the telltale sign of what's going on in the economy globally, is that who is actually the most vulnerable and weakest when it comes to energy. So today, those who do not want a normalized economy, those who want to disrupt Western civilization, those who are against a democratic world, are looking at this saying, this is better than a ballistic missile. This is better than any bomb we could create. We've caused trillions of dollars of disruption and losses in economy. And if we can keep the pace and we can keep the disruption, we can bring the giant America to its knees. Either the United States is going to have a ground foot game in Iran and figure out who these individuals are that are disrupting this peaceful attempt, or we have a bigger problem, which is how long can we withstand? How long can the United States withstand blockading the Strait of Hormuz, making all of our allies upset, making all these international countries upset by the fact that our blockade of the Strait is causing them massive and almost irreparable harm financially? Look, I study this every day. I'm no smarter than the next guy. I simply take a look at the cards that are played, I make an analysis, and here's what I've seen today. Today, what I think is we're going to have this game of cat and mouse for the next 90 to 180 days. Even if slight movement goes through the strait, something else will pop up and cause disruption or chaos or lack of confidence in the market. That lack of confidence, that chaos, that teetering between oil going back to a normalized price of $75 a barrel or skyrocketing to $150 a barrel. It is almost an equal 50-50 split between where it's going to go. That means no more drilling, no more capital supply, no more digging in, no more drill baby drill. It's stalemate. Hold on, see what happens, and see whether or not we're in a passive position, meaning that things are just going to kind of evolve and oil price come back to normal because maybe week by week, day by day, the Iranians begin to do less and less? Or is this one of those we believe that, hey, it's going to be resolved next week and oil price is going to drop to $75 a barrel, so don't go spend money today because $75 is really your base price? Or the outlier, which is nothing gets resolved, the 12 to 13 million barrels a day that's missing in global supply is now exhausted after 60 days. There is no more soft barrels of oil to be had, and the true deficiency in supply starts to raise its ugly head. And that sufficiency or that deficiency of that 12 to 13 million barrels a day results in what? Mathematically, probably $125 to $145 a barrel in true value as every country and end user competes for the lack or the lower amount of supply barrels that are open in the open market. It's going to be quite dynamic over the summer, but my feeling is we're in this for at least 6 to 24 months before we have any kind of resolution to the Straits of Hormuz. That's what I believe is going to happen.